Hello grannies, welcome to a video. Today we're looking at bizarre accidents that people survived, somehow, when they should have died. A stick through the brain. In 1848, a railroad worker named Phineas Gage survived getting impaled by a 3.5-foot, 13-pound rod that he was using to pack a hole with explosives. As the 25-year-old turned to greet coworkers, an explosion in the hole shot the heavy iron rod through Gage's jaw, brain, and skull, like a javelin. The rod landed several yards away. Unlike a javelin, it was carrying a bit of brain with it. Gage lived for another 12 years with a drooping eyelid, seizures, and dramatic emotional and cognitive problems. Some people just have the last stand perk in real life, and Gage was one of them. This next person was forced through a small hole, and no, not that kind of hole. In 2008, a man named Matthew Lowe got his overalls caught in a factory machine that transports metal parts. It forced him to move at high speeds through a hole that's far smaller than his body. He felt his skin rip and heard his arm snap as the mechanism yanked him through a 5-inch opening, dragging him along the conveyor. The machine spat him out, screaming from the other end with a broken back, pelvis, hips, and ribs, and a ruptured stomach and bowel. 6 operations and many metal pins later, the 25-year-old Lowe was back to work at the factory, hoping to get off the factory floor by training as a supervisor. If we're ever going to send a man into a black hole, I think it should be this man. He can fit through very small holes and survive. This next person fell onto an air hose. Allowing air into the body any way but through the respiratory system can kill. A pocket of air can enter the bloodstream and travel quickly to the brain, quickly causing death. But factory worker Stephen McCormick survived an accident in 2011 in which he fell butt first onto the nozzle of an air hose. He screamed as his skin separated from underlying fat and muscle, while high-pressure air filled much of the available space, expanding his body to nearly twice its normal size. At the hospital, the inflated man found that doctors couldn't do much, so they just waited for him to deflate. Slowly. And very loudly. McCormick went home with medications and an unbelievable story to tell. This man's ass literally blew up like a balloon. A nozzle punctured his asshole and didn't hit any major blood vessels. I have one question. How? What kind of wood was he knocking on? Did he fall face first into a patch of 4-leaf clovers? This next person was caught in an updraft. When 35-year-old paraglider Iwa Wisniewska went for a practice glide in 2007, as storm clouds gathered above her, the result was an unscheduled flight across the Australian countryside in little more than the clothes she was wearing. High winds whisked her up to 70 feet per second to just over 30,000 feet above ground and pushed her, frozen and bruised by hail, reportedly the size of tennis balls, some 40 miles from where she started. Wisniewska fell unconscious during the flight, but came to after a while and steered herself out of the sky and onto a farm. Her main injury? Frostbite. Holy crap. How do you get this lucky? Or, unlucky. This next person was dropped out of the sky. After leaping from a plane in 2009, Michael Holmes from New Zealand, a skydiving instructor, ended up with both of his main parachute and backup parachute disabled. Falling at a reported rate of 70 miles per hour, he should have died from internal injuries. Instead, the lucky leaper landed on a blackberry bush, sustaining only a broken ankle and a collapsed lung. How can you jump out of a plane and land on a blackberry bush and survive? No idea, but this guy did. What? Thanks for watching. Goodbye.